Hello, my name is Katie, and I'm here with
Brendan Burke.
And today we will be talking about what it's like to be a firefighter in Keene, Texas. Hello everyone, welcome to Inside Job, where we talk to several people and get a real insight on what it's like doing interesting jobs. Today, we will be talking to a firefighter here in Keene, Texas. We will be discussing why he became a firefighter, what it's like being a firefighter here in Keene, and some interesting topics and facts about firefighters. So let's get started. How long have you been working as a firefighter?
I've been with Keene for about coming up on 2 years. I've been a firefighter since 2018, so however long that is.
That's cool, actually. What made you decide to become a firefighter?
Ever since I was a kid, it's just what I wanted to do. I never really had any other thoughts of doing anything else. So when I turned 18 and was able to get in school, is what I started to do.
I see. That actually answered my third question. I remember you telling me before this that you have a degree in computer science.
Yes, ma'am.
So is that what you took, or?
So yeah, initially when I graduated high school, I went to college and took like my basics and went to school and to do computer science because that's what I was interested in. But I got kind of bored of doing that, and so I left college to go and do my EMT and continued through that until I got here. So I don't do anything computer related.
Okay. Now that we have discussed why he became a firefighter, we will discuss what it's like being a firefighter and some experiences he's had. Before working here in Keene, did you work in other cities or?
Yes, ma'am. Predominantly as a EMS provider. This is my first full-time fire job.
Okay. What would you say what is it like working here in Keene?
Specifically here in Keene, it's, I would say, no different than any other fire department. We still respond to medical calls. We still respond to fires. Mm-hmm. It's kind of exciting because we're small, mm-hmm. and so we get to see our whole department pretty much every other day, whether we're coming on shift, going off shift. So that's pretty unique. And so it's got some unique aspects. We have a little bit of suburban, a little bit of urban environment mixed with still that rural country environment. And so we get a little bit of the mix of both worlds in terms of what like a big city might get to deal with. We might not have the call volume, but we still have, the people. We're getting all the people from Fort Worth that are starting to move down here. So it's exciting. Every day is different, and it's a lot of sitting around and trying to figure out what the next 30 minutes or the next hour might look like. A lot of getting interrupted while you're doing, whatever you're doing for the day. But it's exciting. It's without a doubt the absolute best job I've ever done and will ever do.
I know you said that it's not very different than other stations. What is an average day like as a firefighter?
So we, outside of being responding to 911 calls, we treat this like a business, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And so, you saw earlier we have some administrative people here. So, day to day, it runs like a business where we're doing daily tasks, cleaning, doing chores, stuff like that. The calls kind of just come in between. And then after that, we treat it, it's like a house. They call it a firehouse for a reason. This is our extended family, our second family. We spend a large majority of our time with them. Sometimes I spend more time here than I do at home with my own family. And so, after people go home and it's time to shut down for the day, it's no different than what you might do at home. We relax, watch TV, catch up on shows, football, we cook dinner and eat together, do chores and clean up. So that's kind of, and then like I said, the calls come. We're on duty. Particularly here in Keene, we work 2 days on, 4 days off. So again, the calls, they come whenever they come. Sometimes it's all day, every day, and sometimes you have good days where it's nothing.
Mm-hmm. I remember you mentioning earlier that working here at the station isn't very different from other stations. Mm-hmm. But what's something that makes you stay here in this city rather than like moving to a different place?
Yeah, personally, I like the smaller aspect of the department. I like that we're a single station. Again, I get to see everybody, whether I'm coming off shift or going on shift. So we have a tighter camaraderie with each other because we're smaller and stuff like that. And you feel like you have a more meaningful impact when you do something positively to improve the department. We all play a role in doing something here outside of our normal job duties. And so when you're getting to fulfill that role, or you're getting to complete a project or a task or stuff like that, you feel like you're actually benefiting the department. And that feels really nice. We take a lot of pride in our stuff. I know that today our engines aren't particularly clean because of the weather, but we take a lot of pride in the projects that we do, in our station and each other, and then in our department. I like that we're smaller, and that we are able to meaningfully impact our particular department on a bigger scale and get to witness that ourselves.
That's amazing. What would you say is something that you've experienced that is like the most memorable?
Sure. Not particularly here at Keene, but a few years into my career, I got to deliver a baby. That was definitely a career bucket list item for me. There's some people that have been doing this job 20, 30 years that have never had an opportunity to do it. I'm fairly young and fairly new in my career, and have been fortunate enough to have got to deliver a healthy baby and get to bring it into the world. And so it's definitely a unique change from what some of the other call types can look like. So that is definitely a highlight of my career thus far.
That's amazing. On the other hand, what's something that's very challenging about working here? What's something that's very challenging about working here?
Sure. I mean, just like at home with siblings and stuff like that, you're managing personalities, which can be difficult. We still have our good days and our bad days, where we have stuff going on at home, or we're sick, or the wife is sick, a kid's sick, and so managing that on top of managing the balance of being here, being on call. Sometimes it can be difficult to respond to somebody else's emergency when you might be experiencing an emergency yourself. So luckily we have a really good support system here. Like I said, this is our second family, so we can talk to the guys, talk to anybody here, and kind of get stuff worked out. We all try to help each other with whatever is going on, because it's easier for us to talk to each other sometimes than it is to maybe talk to our spouse, or maybe these guys here understand something that we're going through. We've got some older guys, we got some younger guys, so everybody's in between, and everybody experiences life differently. So the challenge is really just outside of the actual work job or the actual work environment. It's just managing the work-life balance, stuff at home and being here.
So far, we have learned a lot about what it's like being a firefighter. It's very interesting. But now, these last few questions will be some fun facts and just some things that we might not know about firefighters. Can you tell me some things about like fire trucks that most people wouldn't know?
Oh man, that's a good question. Usually I'm kind of a buff for for the all this stuff, but you kind of put me on the spot. This might not be cool, but we find it cool. The level of customization that goes into building one of these. So this particular fire truck is completely custom. It was built from the ground up. You can't go to a dealership and purchase one of these. And so one of the really cool things is that we got to sit down, and my shift in particular got to sit down right as I was getting hired on to putting this particular engine together, and go through it with a fine-tooth comb and pick out individual things, and take that not only to each other, but also to the other shifts and say, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. How can this improve our design now in the future, stuff like that. So the time that it takes to put one of these together, I think would be something that a lot of people wouldn't realize, but also we didn't realize. We put this engine together this year, and we did not realize how long it would take for us to actually put it together. So it might not be cool, it might not be a cool, fun fact, but definitely something you wouldn't hear every day.
So does that mean like they're all different depending on the station? Or
Absolutely. Our engine is different than what you might find in Cleburne or Alvarado. Now, if you have a department that has multiple stations, you take, Burleson, Fort Worth, those departments a little further north of us, they might have some similarities between their stations across the department. But with us, department-wide, we, again, only have one station, and so we're going to differ from what you might see on scene here in Johnson County. Very much so than what you'll see in another city.
Can you also tell me about the protective gear that you have to wear as a firefighter?
Sure. So we're actually standing next to my gear, and this is our PPE, personal protective equipment. And essentially what it is all outerwear, so this goes over our uniform. And we have, it's made up of several layers of protective fabrics and materials. So this outer layer is going to keep us dry and keep some of that heat off of us. Keeps us very warm, but it's made up of different fabrics and stuff like that. And like I said, it's multi-layered, so you can actually see this is the outer layer and this is the inner layer here. So again, this keeps us dry. This inside keeps the heat off of us and keeps us warm, and stuff like that. But we have gloves, we have our jacket, our pants, boots, and then we have a protective hood that goes over our head to protect our ears and our scalp, and stuff like that. And then on a fire, particularly like a house fire or any environment where the air that we breathe could be dangerous or harmful, we have what's called our SCBA, our self-contained breathing apparatus. And essentially what that is a backpack that carries compressed air, and we breathe off of that. And so you don't want to introduce oxygen into a fire because it'll obviously react with the fire. And so it's just compressed air that we pull from the environment, and it gives us, a set amount of time to breathe, so we're able to either put the fire out or rescue somebody, or do any kind of work that we need to do inside of a dangerous environment where the air again is dangerous to breathe.
So are all firefighters paramedics, or do you have like specially trained medics that accompany you on any jobs?
Sure. So the fire department, and it's different across the nation, but particularly in Texas, all firefighters are a minimum of an EMT basic, and then you have the paramedic level. So there's essentially two levels. You have your EMT basics and you have your EMT paramedics. Not all firefighters are paramedics. A majority of them in Texas are paramedics, but not all fire departments also have an ambulance like we do. So we do have other paramedics that work with us, but once you're a paramedic, you're a paramedic. That's the highest level of pre-hospital care that there is. There's extra classes you can take, but you're not going to gain another title, if you will. So no, not all firefighters are paramedics. but a majority of them are.
Okay. If someone wanted to pursue firefighting as a career, what should they do? What's that process?
Sure. I'll give you the cliche answer to stay in school. But after school, or even now during high school, they're offering programs to help bridge people into firefighting or to emergency medical service by offering the EMT basic level courses. But stay in school, you got to have good grades. And you have to be I don't want to say an upstanding citizen, but you have to be a responsible adult. This is a serious job. There's a lot of responsibility that comes along with it. But look at what your local schools or your local colleges offer. And again, a lot of high schools nowadays are offering programs to help get people into the fire service. And so just getting good grades, being responsible, being a good citizen, a good person, and then going through your EMT basic, your fire academy, and then getting eventually into the workforce, into the fire service. But another great way, particularly here in Johnson County, that we have to get people in is by volunteering. And so we're not shy for volunteers here at this department. We bring people that have no certifications, and we bring them in, we give them experience, we give them training, give them gear, and sometimes we even send them to school. And so we'll send them to their EMT, or we'll send them to fire academy. We've sent people to paramedic school, and then those people have actually come to work for us at this particular department. So just being aware of what the resources are, staying in school, like I said, getting good grades. That cliche answer, you'll hear it from everybody, but it's true. You got to stay in school and graduate in order to get into the fire service.
I know you mentioned getting your EMT or paramedic stuff, but is there a specific degree that you need to have, or?
There's no degree. The schooling that you go through, you'll obtain certifications. There are degree programs that you can do to get a degree, whether that's in fire science or emergency medical service. But when you go through a fire academy, you go through EMT, you obtain a certification level card. You're taking a certification level course. So there's, again, no degree that is required to get your foot in the door. Those are just options on the back end if you want to either further your career or stuff like that. And they're not even required per se for promotion. Just a degree in general sometimes is good enough, but it doesn't help if you have a degree in a particular field related to what you do.
Okay. I just want to say thank you for your time and for answering our questions and talking about what it's like being a firefighter.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you all so much.